13 ABC. Conklin Company with 13 ABC Action News anchor Lee Conklin. First with what's happening behind the headlines. And Take 3, our panel of political analysts.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome into Conklin Company and happy St. Patrick's Day. Today on the program, celebrating March Madness and a MAC West Championship with the men's head basketball coach at the University of Toledo, Todd Kowalczyk, a little bit later. Also on the program, distracted driving, speeding, keeping you safe on the roads. Now in the midst of the St. Patrick's Day weekend, getting ready for prom season, weather warming up, all of that. The Toledo Post Commander from the State Highway Patrol will be here. But first, pothole season, the beginning of major road construction season in Toledo and across Ohio. An incredibly busy time for our guest this morning. Robin Whitney, the Commissioner of Engineering Services from the City of Toledo, joins us. Thanks, Robin, for coming in.
Sure, happy to be here.
It is an incredibly busy time for you in the midst of all these community meetings, trying to dissect what the community wants and what you have to get done and how you bridge those two. So tell us where you are now in the midst of, what, 6 public forums?
Right. We're doing a meeting in each of the 6 council districts for the City of Toledo to try to spread out in the community and let people know, really we're having meetings to do 2 things. One is to tell them what we're doing this year, what we'd like to also share some things about how we make our decisions, which roads have we selected and why, how are the projects funded, how is the city organized. We get a lot of questions about those kinds of things. So we get out and talk a little bit about really trying to share information about why we do what we do. And then the other part of the meeting is really to get input back from them on what other roads they're interested in us looking at. 2 meetings in, and you were telling me you're somewhat surprised by the enthusiasm, by the attendance, that people are engaged with what they have in their neighborhood, what they want to see. Absolutely. I like these meetings. They're really pretty rewarding to me, and I'm always excited to see the people that come to them that have such an interest in what's happening in their community. A lot of times it's Black Watch leaders and people that have been involved in other aspects of the community, and they want to know what's going on, and they come with great ideas. They're engaged in the dialogue, and we learn a lot from it. A lot of times I've learned some things that have altered the way we approach our projects. One of those projects, so it's an ongoing project, is this freeze-thaw cycle that we get into, especially at this time of the year, and that video was of potholes. Before we get to the major road construction projects, do you feel like that's a Band-Aid project, that you can't fix the pothole problem? You just have to address it as it comes each and every spring? It really is the Band-Aids that are necessary. Because of where we're at in the country, the freeze-thaw cycles are real. We have cold weather, then it warms up, it causes problems with the pavement, and you have to come up with temporary repairs until something permanent can be done in the summer. Our Streets Division is really researching what's the latest and greatest methodology to make sure those repairs are being done the best way possible. How far has technology come in addressing a pothole situation? Because somebody will say, well, they patched it and 4 weeks later that hole's bigger than it was. Probably not very far. When you think about some of the other advancements in technology, there's a lot of things with roadway construction that are the same old thing. Cold patch, the material that we have to use in the winter, just hasn't really advanced much to really help us in conquering that problem. Wish you had better news on that front. Sorry. But let's move on to, I think one of the roads that people have felt really needs addressing for so many years. Part of Secor was done last year, was it not? That's correct. And you've expanded that now over to one of the busiest corridors in the city. We're talking, of course, Secor near the Monroe Street area, Central Avenue. Right. We're doing through the Central Avenue intersection north to just short of the Monroe Street intersection. Complete reconstruction, which means we go all the way down to dirt. We take out the curbs, we take out everyone's little drive approach at their driveways. We're making changes to the traffic signalization. So we're going to get a nice new road just like we did in the other sections of Secor. Short-term pain for area businesses and drivers, but in the long run, it has to be done, and it will be better, correct? Absolutely, absolutely, and we're really trying to minimize that. We've put a very aggressive schedule together with the contractor, so I think the community is going to see some evening work, a lot of evening work, potentially work on the weekends as well. So we're pushing to get this done by November 1st. All right, that's a major project, $5.4 million. Yes. Where are some of the other
major efforts that will be taking place this summer and into the fall?
We have a very large project on Collingwood Avenue from Monroe Street to Central. That project is still going through the approval process with ODOT, but we hope to get that underway here in the next couple months. That's a water line replacement and, again, a complete reconstruction. We're doing a few things differently there, where we're modifying the curb line, some of the widths in the area, adding some boulevards and doing some improvements to change the configuration and add some on-street parking. But that'll be a 2-year project. It's going to start in 2013, but it won't finish until 2014.
There's some controversy about roundabouts now.
Yes.
And how roundabouts can help. Others say, not so much, they're too expensive. What's your feeling on the City of Toledo and roundabouts?
We're, the city in my division and transportation, we are aggressively looking at where can we focus on doing some roundabouts. We haven't done any in the city yet. Lucas County has done some, and I think they've done them quite successfully. I think roundabouts can be done and can be a much safer solution. It depends on the location and what's happening, but they can be expensive if you need to acquire right-of-way. So you have to balance those issues, and if it's a multi-lane roundabout, that could be kind of complicated because we're just not used to them. But from everything that I've read, they can be very safe. They can help with congestion and be a much better solution. We just need to find the right fit in the city.
I think confusing until you get used to them.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. And then they're intuitive, but
right.
At first I think people are confused.
Yeah. So we'll work our ways. As those pop up, we'll
Sure.
navigate them as we go.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you a bit about determining which project gets the priority. And there was a story in the Blade after the first meeting about taxpayers saying, hey, we pay the brunt of the taxes here, we should get more of the projects. I think they were talking about District 5.
Yes.
That doesn't come into play, does it?
No, it doesn't. In fact, the mayor attended that meeting and he said it very well in response to that question. People drive all over the city, so just because you might live in one section of the city, you need to drive in all sections of it, so we can't ignore one area. We tend to have our projects pretty equally spaced across really the entire city, and we don't look at what the tax base is in the area, certainly.
How do you work on the priorities, though? How does something come up and say, okay, Secor's ready, we have to attack it now, it's first on the list, or Collingwood? What is the priority criteria?
We have one scientific criteria, which has a little bit of science and a little bit of art to it, is called a pavement condition rating, and we work with the University of Toledo to establish this PCR rating for every section of street in the city. We update 2 districts a year, so every 3 years we update and look at each section of the road, and we give it a PCR rating. The number is really, it's from 0 to 100. 100 would be something that's a brand new road in perfect condition. If you fall down in, let's say, the 60s, that's not so good. It's almost like a failing grade. So then we start to look at those. That's one component that we can use, but we use different treatments on roads. If you look at our list of roads, some of them are just a resurface, where we'll just mill off the top 3 inches or so. Right. And if we catch a road that's not in too bad of shape, we can do that resurface and extend its life, and that only costs 1/3 of what it would cost to fully reconstruct it. So we have to look at those PCR ratings. We have to also then gauge, okay, where is it in its life cycle? We're doing a lot of crack sealing to try to help prevent that water from getting into the pavement and causing those problems. And then the major roads, we really have to rely on grants. We try to not use 100% city dollars on those larger projects. We get money through ODOT and the Ohio Public Works Commission to fund a portion of those. So we have to compete. It's a competitive process, so even though I might want to do a section of Douglas Road, maybe Secor scored better, so that's...
Like a school would write a grant, you're competing, you're against other jurisdictions out there.
Right,
okay.
and most of that money is coming from the gas taxes that everybody pays, so we're trying to get that money back in our community.
All right, some more community meetings coming up this week, the Frederick Douglass Community Center and also Our Lady of Perpetual Help on Wednesday and Thursday of this week.
That's correct.
Robin Whitney, thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
And we'll come back in just a minute, talk about staying safe on those newly constructed roads when we come back.